dressed up in fancy clothes. I ain't taking no trouble to blow my bubbles away.
This is Jim McBride's 1981 film Breathless, a remake of the Godard classic starring Richard Gere and Valérie Caprisky. Although lacking the innovative snappiness and existentialism of the French New Wave, McBride has something that Godard doesn't: an optimistic view of hopeless romance. Whereas Godard opts for a cynical, almost nihilistic view. Now, don't get me wrong, Godard's iteration is a tentpole in film history, and I in no way am saying that one of these films is objectively better than the other. I simply want to discuss the clear differences between the two films' ideologies, and how that affects the audience's emotional reaction to those characters. When two films have the same plot, how does each film's unique view of a subject affect the audience? To illustrate this point, we'll first take a look at the scene in both films where our leads are sort of lying around discussing their situations. In the original film, this scene has a sort of dread to it. Sure, it's often playful, but the characters don't act with any affect. They lay around and get ready. They may discuss these bigger topics, but aside from the editing, it's all sort of mundane. Add to that the clear emotional distance between the two characters, and you have a scene that is hard to read as romantic. Clearly, the characters care for each other to some degree, but Michel is almost brutish in his treatment of Jean. At many points in the film, and in a few instances here, he's just flat out mean. He grabs and touches Jean when she tells him no.
J'en ai plus envie de jouer aujourd'hui.
There is an attraction, but not really a care that you would want out of a romance. And this is all purely intentional. Michel is not the right man for Jean, and the film knows it. He's here because he's on the run. He's fulfilling a selfish desire, not displaying real love, which in turn causes a sort of wishy-washy feel from the audience. It has us supporting the decision Jean makes by the end, and even has us villainizing Michel further. He did murder a cop after all. The film is saying that what is love if not a basic attraction to another? I like you, and therefore you should throw away everything and run away with me. Clearly, the best thing for Jean is for Michel to leave her life.
Pourquoi tu es venu ici, Michel?
Moi, parce que j'ai envie de recoucher avec toi.
Ce n'est pas une raison, je trouve.
Évidemment si. Ça veut dire que je t'aime.
Et moi, je ne sais pas encore si je t'aime.
The remake, on the other hand, takes an entirely different approach. It's not as playful, but it's infinitely more intimate and empathetic. There is a distance between the two characters emotionally, but not physically. Not only have they just been physically intimate, but they hold each other close, kiss, and the audience understands from their physicality these people are attracted to each other on more than just their looks. Jesse isn't cold or nihilistic about his situation, he's sad. He wants to be with Monica because he truly loves her. The film shows us this by using one of my favorite metaphors in a film, comparing Jesse to Marvel Comics' Silver Surfer. Jesse is like Norrin Radd, bound to drift through the cosmos away from his one love. It's not that he isn't the one, it's that his actions drive him away and he knows this. Jesse is sad because the metaphor of the Silver Surfer reigns true, and the film goes through so much effort to illustrate this, hitting on the metaphor multiple times throughout the film.
I have seen the birth of planets and the death of worlds. I have seen galaxies crumble and new suns a-borning. But in every star, in every sun, I see her face.
It paints Jesse not as a nihilist, someone that's hopeless to love, but someone who cosmically can't love the one he yearns for. Jesse is a criminal, and Monica isn't. The best thing Jesse can do for Monica is to leave her life. It's the same action as the original, but with a completely different tone.
Surfer's nuts to hang around. I mean, he knows that life on Earth has no meaning. It's chaos, it's out of control. But he's got a chance to break away. I mean, he's plugged into the galaxy. He's got the power cosmic. Only a jerk would stay when he could go.
Huh? Yeah, maybe you're right.
The Silver Surfer sucks.
The previous scenes gave us a clear view of how each film views the protagonist and their love, but how does each film's ending tie a bow on it? In the original, after everything that's happened thus far, all the running and gunning, the swaying, and the loving, how does the film treat its protagonist? It shoots him in the back. Michel dies, not in a blaze of glory or a shootout with the police, but with one shot. He stumbles, falls, and dies after a witty exchange. His final words have little to no romanticism. Although a reference to a sort of cute interaction, it's ultimately a cruel joke. He understands the irony of his situation. Although it's not what he wants, his death is the best thing for Jean. The scene is dragged out, it's cruel. Michel stumbles through the street to die like a dog, and Jean is left wondering what the point of it was anyways. It leaves us thinking that it really was hopeless to love someone like Michel. How does the remake treat its protagonist? He declares his love with a horribly silly song and launches into a shootout with the police.
If you're gonna love me, love her, please don't tease. If I can hold you, honey, let me squeeze. My head goes round and round, and my love comes tumbling down.
No, Jesse!
You leave me.
Jesse, I love you, Jesse!
Breathless!
Not because it's what he wants, it's because it's the best thing for Monica. Jesse understands that, like the Silver Surfer, he'd be a jerk to stay when he can go. It's not a sad ending, not even a tragic ending, it's triumphant. It's an ultimate act of love. Sure, Jesse walked himself into this situation, but it's the only option he has left. Love is something you sacrifice for. Although Jim McBride's iteration of Breathless is far from a one-to-one remake of the original, it is interesting what the Americanized iteration attempts to do. On an ideological level, it's almost an entire deviation from its predecessor. It doesn't just rehash the original, it reinterprets it through the hyper-romantic, poppy, neo-noir scene of the 80s. Godard's original is of course still stunning, but the deviation from the remake is clear. Although two films may have the same beats, the way those beats are interpreted and the way the character perceives those beats can entirely alter the experience.